when I was a kid, I used to like plan dates where I would wake up and I'd be like, today I'm gonna talk in a British accent for the
really?
I would like I never fucking did it once. I never successfully made it. But like I would have a plan from the beginning. Dude, usually my mom would cut that shit out immediately.
Stop talking like that.
I would do it. I would say she would know, dude. Like I would come upstairs. I'd be like, "Top of the morning, mother," and she'd be like, "No, we're not doing that today."
Knock that weird shit off.
And then once I fucked up once, I just quit. Or the first teacher, dude, or like in elementary schools when I primarily did it, my teacher would be like, "No."
Oh, they probably really bring the hammer down.
We are not doing that today.
Oh, that's funny. Well, welcome back to another episode of Blue Collar Happy Hour. Today we have good friend, near and dear to us, merch guy for the pod, Bodie. How's it going, Bodie?
I'm doing good.
Welcome, welcome back in your normal seat.
Yeah, I'm slightly left more, but,
I think you kind of sold him short. I mean, we're here for a Blue Collar Happy Hour. He's here to talk to us about framing.
Nailing,
you didn't
screwing.
even mention it in his intro.
Okay, well, I was just going to ask, Bodie, what do you do for a living, or what did you do for a living? But then Sam ruined it with his dumbass comment. So.
I thought you were the one being a dumbass, and I was going to try to help the situation.
Well, I think both of you guys are pretty dumb, so.
Okay.
So, Bodie, what do you do? What do you do for work?
Wow, what a great question.
Or what did you do for work?
Well, I still do it. And I
freelance.
I freelance, and
people already fucking clicked, dude.
Right.
So with Renegade Builders, you never did. Oh, fuck you, bro. Fuck you, dog.
What?
That little fucking stupid smile looking at me from a distance. All right, let's pretend he's not even here.
Okay.
You didn't even move.
I'm out of it. I'm not even gonna look your way. Okay.
So when you started Renegade Builders, you didn't start it initially to do it full time. You still worked for a different company.
Right, because it was a cash job deal, so it was a way to report my income. But yeah, eventually, like I always had the plan of going out and doing my own thing eventually. Like regardless of what it was.
You don't want to get screwed by kind of the negative effects of being paid cash.
Right.
Like, you wanted to have something on record so that like you could do stuff. You could get a house, you could buy a car, you could do whatever.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't realize that, they just take the cash and then you get screwed.
Yeah, and then it's like, straight out of high school, like get paid cash. It's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, sweet, right. I don't have money taken out for taxes. But then it's like you learn real quick. It's like, okay, yeah, need a loan for a truck. And then it's like, okay, yeah, I kind of need reported income.
Right.
That.
And the thing that a lot of people don't know is that you can't just go into a car dealership with $40,000 cash and buy a new car. Like, that's getting reported, So you cannot do that. So you basically have, gas and groceries is all you can use that for.
Right.
So it's like, why, you're
unless
screwing
you
yourself
bite the bullet, and it was like a no-brainer to do anyways. Like, it's surprisingly easy all you do is pretty much register your name just to get like an LLC established for the most part. Right. But then
quick Google search and you can just walk right through it step by step.
Yeah. But then I have insurance and everything, and then you have like, an associated bank account with it, and there's layers you obviously build to it. But
yeah. So originally you started Renegade Builders as a way to report your income. Now, what was that like? You wanted to always do side work under that name?
Oh yeah, I always did side work too. Like, might as well.
Right.
Plus it's more money on the side, and then getting a portfolio established.
Is that something that you had to talk to your boss about? Like, clear with him, like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm doing this, or
no.
So you're just like, fuck it, I'm making this extra money. I'm going to be legit.
Right.
Fuck my boss.
I know some guys are like weird with that, but no, I wouldn't do work for guys like that.
Yeah.
That
so
about that anyways.
Now in like kind of the online world, the editing world, I guess, there's a lot of like no compete clauses where like pretty much every company has a no compete clause if you're a graphic designer. So like if I'm a graphic designer for Target, I can't be a graphic designer for Walmart.
Right.
Yeah. So is there a lot of that in the framing world too? Or is it more so just, I guess, company dependent?
See, I've always been non-union, smaller time company.
Oh, okay.
Companies like, just kind of like the one crew guys.
Yep.
So as far as like union and shit, I couldn't really tell you if that's the case with that. I imagine so. But at the end of the day, it's, just work. And I feel like that's kind of like a bad rep that the like blue collar community can get sometimes. But granted, this is just like from what I've experienced is that it's pretty much like, I've always thought if there's a better offer and there's a crew you want to go join, like you just go join.
Right.
But I know from the perspective of the people hiring and like being an owner of the, of the crew, I know that there is, that's like the first thought is like, oh yeah, they fucking took one of our guys. Like, oh, they're stealing work.
Yeah.
Stealing workers.
And I think a lot of that is probably just generational too. I mean, look at how many of our parents and our grandparents have been at their jobs their entire life.
A company man.
Yeah. Their entire life. TCAV and I were just talking about this earlier. He was saying that his dad's had the same job his entire life. So in other words, like, that's so common for that generation.
That scares the fuck out of me, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, I could not imagine. I mean, and then they were talking about how each generation basically spends less time at one particular job. I think millennial was like, 3 to 5 years was like the average time that people were spending at a job.
And that's probably why it's like, it's probably, that's it makes sense that you break it down like that, because that's how I feel about it is like, there's a kind of a switch more towards if you have services you offer, you're of value and you're especially of value to someone who can employ you.
Yeah.
Because if you're making X amount, they're most likely making 3 times that.
Off of what you're doing. Yeah.
Exactly. So and it's like I feel like that's that switch more towards like, okay, like people are starting to understand that concept, and like especially hiring people who hire, they are more they understand that we're kind of more aware of that concept too.
Yeah.
And they have to cough up some more bennies or whatever.
So from your experiences being on a framing crew, what does the crew look like? How many people are showing up in the morning? What are the responsibilities? Like at the company I work for, we have the foreman, we have the laborers, we have the bricklayer. How does it work? I don't know anything about the framing life.
It's not really, from my experience, it's not really chopped up into classes, but everyone kind of settles into their like, everyone's kind of categorized when you are like in the field. Like you have like usually like obviously the head honcho, the dude in charge. And then you have like a good crew would consist of, honestly, like if you had a good crew would be like 3 guys who knew what the fuck they're doing. Mm-hmm. That dude, you can fucking get by way more efficiently with that than a crew of 10 people who half of them don't know what they're doing. Right. So, but I'd say the average crew that I see and like see work close by with is like 1 or 2 like top level guys who know their shit, usually old timers, and then maybe like a mid-level guy who's been at it for like a year or so, and then you gotta have a couple gophers or a gopher.
Yeah, that just go run grab them screws,
or a cut guy.
Yeah.
But a good cut guy isn't a gopher though.
They get that respect.
Well, like a good cut guy, he's a dude who knows what's going on and can cut you parts ahead of time.
Yeah.
And, plan shit out like that. And then, you need some young bucks to get up on the roof, sheet the roof, set trusses, do more sketchy shit like that. Because old timers, they don't like doing that. Some of them just tell you they're not. And a lot of them physically can't. So
I suppose when you fall off the roof and you're 20 years old, it doesn't hurt near as much as at like 65.
I want to say it was like 70%, maybe even upwards of that, of the blue collar industry as a whole is made up of the baby boomer generation, which is like, it's really eye opening to see like, And if you think about it, like, yeah, dude, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And just that there's going to be a massive, like, demand for blue collar work in general and people willing to do it too.
Do you think it's coming back at all? Because I feel like a lot of millennials were not interested in blue collar work. And I almost feel like our generation, and maybe it's because I'm from such a ridiculously small town, but I feel like it's kind of coming back. I feel like more people are open to working blue collar and then maybe they've got a different side gig of something not, fuck, that thought was so horrible. But usually people, they had their job, they do blue collar shit on the side. Now we got blue collar guys doing graphic design on the side, and they use their computer to their advantage.
And that's an interesting thing too, is seeing how, like, as tech evolves and how, like, social media can be used to, like, especially TikTok, like the blue collar TikToks, dude, like tradesmen exchanging their, like, tips and tricks. It's like, dude, it's going to be really interesting to see how that is going to push that to, like, another level, so to speak. And then, like, the baby boomer generation, obviously they're not, like, they never really had that instinct to use tech to maximize their efficiency. Like, on a smaller scale of, like, you maybe you have one crew or two crews, like, smaller scale like that. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. And I think a big part of it too that people kind of overlook is that, like, I mean, you guys can agree that, like, when you're going to high school, they push the 4-year degree as it's almost, like, essential for you to get any form of success. Yeah. I mean, Luke Hagee was talking about it. Like, he hit the nail on the head, but it's really, I think it's starting to switch, that there's kind of more, there's less scrutiny for just jumping into, like, a trade or just working right away. A lot of people do that. I did that. But I also, like, got my generals at a community college, right after high school. But, I was working right away.
Right. Well, here's the thing, this whole mindset of, like, you can't be creative and then do also manual labor.
Right.
Because we're seeing a lot of these creative manual labor people coming up on YouTube, TikTok, whatever social media. And you're starting to realize, like, okay, these guys are definitely, like, there's definitely a similarity between making something structurally integrative that'll, or have a lot of structural integrity that can last for years, but then also they can, like, paint a picture on a canvas on video.
And it's really strange that people can't really grasp that concept that, like, for, like, some reason it can't be bundled into one. Like, a person can't be, built to do both.
Right.
Like, it's so weird. And I get that all the time. Like, people, like, approach me with that question of, like, oh, like, do you, like, so you do it, you do that now. It's like, well, I do both still. Like, you can. Yeah. Like, I always have.
Right.
Like, when I was getting up every day and going to work, like, doing that, it's like, well, I was still doing the design thing on the side.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, because when I bartend at my dad's place, I always get, like, are you not doing the graphic design anymore? I'm like, nope, I still am.
Yeah.
I just do both,
It's really odd. And then especially when comparing it to, I mean, it is, like, there is a major contrast, like, even just, like, the whole job description, so to speak. Like, one is more, strenuous labor, physically demanding outside all day, and then, it's on the other end of the spectrum, doing the art stuff, design work, freelance. It's, you're locked up inside. Yeah. And I mean, I understand that, but it's interesting.
So let's get back into the world of framing. So I really, my knowledge of framing is so bad that I'm not even sure how the job starts. Like, can you kind of walk us through starting a job and how long it takes typically, how the responsibilities change throughout? Like, I just enlighten me on framing, because I just want to learn as much as possible.
Well, you show up. There's usually a hole in the ground. The foundation's poured. And then when the job is done, there's a house there. Like, pretty bare bones. But,
so, like, day one, You show up, what's the first thing you're doing?
Day one, if it's a basement with a walkout or a jump wall, starting from the basement, you frame the walls there, snap out your plates. Well, snap out your plates right off the bat, frame up the basement.
What does that mean? What does snap out your plates mean?
So like just the green plates, like let's say they're 2x6 walls, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you show up, the foundation's there and it's got bolt holes sticking out. So then to make sure, we pull our numbers for like what the dimensions of the house has to be. And oftentimes, like, depending on how good your concrete is, because sometimes, like, if your concrete's not square or it's slightly off of the dimensions of what the house is supposed to be, like, sometimes you'll run into that. But either way, you snap a line to make sure that's where the wall goes. That's your initial, like, it has to be flush with this line and ensures the wall's straight, square. Yeah. So then after that, then you set the floor trusses, sheet the floor, sheet the rim. You build the next layer of walls, and then just build more walls.
Is there a specific part of a job that you just hate? Like, was there a certain thing that you knew you had to do where it was like, fuck, you're going into work that day knowing it's going to be a shitty day? Like, is there one thing that stands out in framing that you just hate it?
I mean, it all just kind of blurs together, really. To be honest,
like you just hate everything.
Well, I mean, definitely punch. Like when you go back, depending on like how good your crew is, but sometimes I found myself on a crew that there's one dude that just no matter what, just just is a tornado of fucking up everything they do, or you have to finish it, or if someone because at the punch list day. Whether it's like the homeowner did a walkthrough or the soup or what have you, inspector, and then you got to go around and just fuck with the little like, oh, this doorway needs to be a little bit bigger, or change ups or little structural things where you got to go back in the trusses and put up more bracing because you missed some, just shit like that, just piddly shit. That's no fun.
So this punch list, that's like something that they go through and is like after you've built it, they make a list of what's fucked up. You got to come fix this.
Right, basically. Or things you've missed, forgot to put a scuttle hole in or something, forgot to cut out a door plate, or, if there's some studs bowed here and there, the inspector will mark it with a Sharpie and you got to straighten them back out or swap them out. Because, like, there's no progress being seen. Like, it's satisfying when you come to the job, and then, you built the second story. You stick frame the second story walls and sheeted them and stood them in a day. Then you like drive away thinking like, yeah, dude, that's a pretty good day. But with the punch list shit, you just see the list go smaller. There's no like real noticeable, tangible progress that you can really see. So I don't know. I was mostly up on the roof, but like.
So you were that young buck that they sent up there.
I love roofs. Yeah, setting trusses are fun. Sheeting the roof's fun. I like hand framing roofs too. It's just like the angles and shit. I don't know. It's satisfying. Crazy. Yeah, like some hip roofs, dude. Get some cool angle shit going on. I love that.
If you ever build a house, are you just going to make some absolutely elaborate structure?
Overly complicated that no one would want to help me out with.
Could you do a spiral staircase? Is that something that
I've done it before. They actually I did one fairly recently, but the builder we were building for, they actually had a spiral staircase guy that they called up because the plates have to be, they have to be spiral, of course. So it's plywood, jigsaw cut radially. And then also like they have to figure out like the elevation too. Like it has to be X amount of steps. This is the radius of the staircase and then going up. So you have to compensate for that too.
God, that sounds like a lot of math.
Which is like, yeah, there's like, that's the thing too, is like, there's so much math involved and, angles. And then, you got to always compensate for shit. And, one slip up and you're fucking spending an hour tearing a wall apart.
Right. Especially if it's like a whole wall. You mess up at the beginning, it gets exponentially bigger by the end of that wall. I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then especially after you sheet it and shit, like, if there's a window that's off late or like not centered, then you got to go back and I mean, after you do it so many times.
Right.
Dude, I wonder how many kids were in school, they're in math class, and they're like, fuck this. I'm never going to use this shit. I'm going to go work a blue-collar job. And then they picked framing, and they realized real quick, they're like, maybe I should have paid attention in geometry a little bit. Maybe it would have helped me out in the long run.
Yeah.
Maybe if I knew the Pythagorean theorem, I'd be better off.
Yeah, that's when you learn framer math, though.
What's framer math?
Well, just like little tips and tricks. Like, if you take that's why I never had the privilege to work with someone who went to school for it. Exactly. Well, there was a couple times, but I don't know. You just learn these like adaptable like tips and tricks to make things like kind of break it down into less complicated ways. So rather than doing, like sine, cosine, and tangents, figure out an angle. Like you can whip out your speed square and find it out in like a second. Mm-hmm. Just little shit.
It would be like the equivalent of a math for dummies book. Like how they have the.
Are you just making fun of him?
No, I'm just saying.
You're saying he's just so dumb.
I'm saying framers math.
He's just a hammer boy to you.
Sounds like those books where they take a subject and they say, like you have a book, TikTok for Dummies, and it just breaks it down and shows you a more simple way to look at it.
Right.
And that's just kind of what I was getting from the framers math. But one thing I do want to show framers a little respect because I have always felt bad for them when the winter comes around because, the concrete guys, the masonry guys, the road construction guys, they're always laid off. They're hanging out in the winters, maybe ice fishing. You're working.
Yeah,
You're out there. You're on that roof still.
Yeah. Yeah, you're scraping ice off a roof, dude. That's not fun.
The worst days must be when you get about 12 inches of snow the night before, and then you're shoveling all morning.
Yeah, dude, especially if it was unexpected. Like, it's one thing, it's like, yeah, we're supposed to get a shitload of snow. Like, all right, wrap up the lumber, throw a tarp over it, whatever the fuck. But then it's like, oh, yeah, we were supposed to get it dusting. It actually turned out to be 4 inches of sticky shit, then froze. Like, oh, okay. Then every board you cut, you got to scrape off ice, and that's no fun. That gets old real quick.
You ever have any crazy moments on the roof where you thought you might die or you saw something crazy happen? Maybe someone's ladder got knocked down from under them or anything specific?
Knock on wood, I've never fell off. I've heard stories of people like, a gust. Well, definitely what's sketchy is, depending on how high up you are, what pitch roof it is, whether it rained or snowed or whatever. But, dude, you're carrying up a sheet of plywood. You're running up that fucker. And if it's steep enough to where you can't lose that momentum and a gust of wind hits you, dude, you're carrying a 4x8 sheet of plywood, dude. Sometimes that'll make you shit your pants a little bit, dude. It'll make that butthole pucker.
I believe that.
But if you do it right, dude, and it's kind of nice sometimes because if the wind's going the right way, you just hold up that sheet of plywood and that fucker will like damn near drag you up the roof where you don't have to do much.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm like 100, I'm barely $150.
And then walk right up the ladder.
Yeah, the summertime, I'm just up there in my like shorts or whatever, no t-shirts, like, just flow right up that bitch.
That's funny. I never even thought of that. That must suck. So in the car industry, when I was selling cars and it snowed, that was like the worst thing ever because we had to do what they call a lot rodeo and move every single car in the whole parking lot like 3 times so they can plow the lot without moving every car out, Yeah. Oh, it's a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah, I always notice that. I'll drive by dealerships and then just some snow's wiped off the cars too, or I'm like, damn, like someone had to spend a lot of time doing that.
Yeah, a lot of times we would just like get there a little bit early and you just would start brooming off cars with this like, foam brush that doesn't scratch them. Oh my God. It sucked. Yeah. So was there anything like that you ever experienced?
It's fun when it snows a lot and then somebody forgets to like, put everything like just condensed into a spot, like there's sometimes where like we get the truss load and we have like the main trusses set and shit like that, but then these little just little piddly trusses, like sometimes they're just like this big, for like dormers or hip roofs or piggybacks or what have you. And sometimes it snows a lot, dude. And then there's somewhere where they stage the trusses at where they dumped off the load. And you're out there. I remember before I've had to go out there in like 2.5 feet of snow and then just like kick the ground to find those little fucking.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not fun. That's why, I like having everything organized for that reason. Just I don't like fucking around like that, dude.
Dude, what do you think is the most amount of layers you've had to put on for a cold day working in the winter? Like, you have to have a routine at a certain point because it's a long day out there.
Dude, layers are the way to go, too. And I can tell when someone's new to working outside or just, like, new in general because they come in with a big, like, heated coat, dude.
Yeah.
Or, like, just puffy-ass coat. And then sometimes, like, they're still cold. Or they're sweating their ass off.
And they can't take it off because that's all they have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, big jacket to T-shirt. That doesn't always work too well.
Dude. Oh, my God.
Well, yeah, on them cold days, dude, like, you got your long johns on, right? And then moisture-wicking shirt. And then on the really, really cold days, I'd have moisture-wicking T-shirt. I never wore bibs. I never really had the need to. And then on top of the T-shirt was like a long sleeve, maybe a T-shirt over that. And then sometimes like a thermal or like a turtleneck. And then hoodie. And then maybe windbreaker if it was really, really cold. Something to cut the wind.
Damn, that was way more in depth than I thought you were going to go.
Dude, I got it down to a science, dude.
That's insane.
Yeah. Then if it's really, really cold, dude, you got the heat packs. You tape them to your wrists, dude. Keep your hands cold.
The hand warmers?
Yep.
You tape them to your wrist?
Yeah, because, like, there's, whether you're climbing around in the trusses or just, like, even doing whatever, it always drove me nuts when the hand, because on the package, right, they have the heat packs on your hand. But it's like you go to grab something and then you feel it in there. It just drove me nuts. So, dude, like, I always never bothered me on just taping it to the wrists because it makes sense that if, the blood going to your hands is warm, hands going to be warm.
Never thought of it that way.
It always worked for me.
So when you're up on the roof, what's in your tool belt? Like, you got some snacks in there, maybe. What are you ripping around
Teddy
with?
Grahams. I'll have a little hammer, cat's paw, speed square, 8 penny nails, 16 nails, gun nails, staples, H clips, string line.
Holy shit.
Or chalk line. And then like just some miscellaneous things like that I always have markers, pencils.
Damn.
Utility knife.
You guys are not up there fixing houses, or you're not building houses. You're up there looking like Mary Poppins. You don't know what you're gonna pull out of that thing,
dude. And it sucks being the guy on the crew that has the little things that you need once in a while, and it's nice to have on hand immediately, like a flat bar, pry bar, like this big, dude, or like a mace or a cut nail or something, or like a multi-tool. The multi-tool, dude. I always have one on me, and once people know that you have that thing on you, they're always hitting you up for it.
like a Leatherman.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Hey, you got them pliers?
Yeah, yeah.
You got that knife?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember when you were giving me shit about it, but yeah.
I've heard that for framers and probably more specifically cutters, I guess, that these the markers are like a coveted thing. Like people are afraid to lose their markers, so they almost never let anyone use their marker.
Yeah, I try not to like lend out any of my tools in my bags just because I know like one of us is gonna forget.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a fucking nightmare trying to get it back.
It's just a pain.
Because I'm good. Oh, yeah, by the way, I need this. Oh, I don't have it.
Who's got my goddamn Leatherman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like I loan someone my utility knife, right? And then they're fucking like, cutting something on concrete. And then they give it back to me and the blade's all wore down. It's like, thanks, dude. I'm trying to cut house wrap with it now.
Yeah.
And you can't cut a better time like chewing it.
That sucks.
So yeah, like
I think we got to hit you with a hard-hitting question now. I think it's time to call someone out. What beefs do framers have with other trades? Is there a certain trade that you just fucking hate?
Well, let me start off by saying framers, everyone loves to bitch at the framers. And it could just be the most like, because like we do have the role of, you know, to be a good framer, you have to understand all the other trades that come behind you, and you have to build to cater to them. So that means like backing out walls for sheetrockers. That means, you know, for like like HVAC guys and shit, sometimes they'll leave like bays open in the trusses or floor trusses for their vents and shit, or centering pins above a doorway to center it above the doorway itself, so that way the vent it's the right size opening for them to put their vents in, and you know, just weird shit like that you kind of. Oh, and a big one too is when you nail your walls, right? When you build your walls, making sure that all your nails line up on the stud. That way when the electricians or plumbers or whoever like drill through it, you're not fucking up their bits. That's one that's kind of like common knowledge if you're a framer, like it's just what you do. And it's really, if you see someone not abiding by that rule, then it's like, whoa, dude, like they're automatically sus. Big time.
Really? That's how you can find out if they're not the real deal?
That's just one. I mean, it's like if you label yourself a framer or whatever, if you're not doing that, like, whoa, red flag, big time.
That's funny. That's something to look for if you're ever building a house, I guess.
Yeah.
What's the starting pay of like an entry level framer? Can you get right into it right away, or is there some like groundhog work you got to do to get to that spot?
And that's what I kind of want to like for like someone that's like doesn't know what to do, like after high school, especially if you like think to yourself like, damn, it'd be cool to like know how to build a house, or like just understand how to do that, or like wouldn't mind like doing a physical job. Because I actually kind of in a way like you get out there and you're moving shit. You're doing something like physical. Like I like that aspect of it, and even working outside too. But I urge anyone who's like curious to just like start working with it. You know, find a job somewhere.
Give it
in the
summer.
Yeah, exactly.
3 months. I feel like after 3 months, you know if you like it or not.
Oh yeah,
but you have to give it at least 3 months.
Yeah, the first week you won't like it.
Really? Because they make you do everything the hard way.
Right off the bat, first job I took after high school, we were doing this. It was a gymnasium, and this fucker was big. It was like damn near 30-foot walls. It was kind of odd too, because it was, I don't know, it was weird. But 30-foot walls. It was like 2 by 10 studs. Fucking like big. And then my first day on the job, we're standing there at the slab. I don't know what the fuck I don't know what to do. There's only just like two old timers like on the crew.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Or you're just standing around.
and then I'm just, they're talking with the builder or whatever, or the owner, and then I'm just, anything I can do? Like, yeah, you can. You see these? Then he brings me over to this bunk at 2 by 10s, 2 by 12s. I think they're 2 by 10s. 30 feet long, heavy fuckers, especially right after high school.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. See these? You cut them to whatever the stud length was. Okay. And then it's like, yeah, and then move them over there, like right in the center. Okay. Like how many? He's like, all of them. Like, how? All of them. This bunk's like, fucking like God. That high. I'm like, okay. And that's what I did. I just kept my head down. I was quiet. I fucking cut them fuckers, dude, all day.
Are you allowed to like listen to music on the job site? Can you have headphones on?
I never really was big. I'm just paranoid about like my AirPods falling out.
Yeah.
That's why I never really did. Sometimes on the roof when it was just me on the roof. I always worked with like stubborn fuckers that just would refuse to for their own whatever reasons, or they just like didn't know how to like use Spotify or like some sort of streaming thing that didn't have ads.
Right.
Like they just like never fucked with it, and then instead they chose the radio. I hate the radio now because of it.
Yeah, I feel like old people, if they discover something, they always discover Pandora first.
Yeah.
Like, I remember my mom being like, you ever use Pandora? Like, 8 years ago before Spotify came out.
Pandora used to be the elite
that was the shit,
music
dude.
app. You find one good song, it's like, all these songs are good. Now it's not as great for some reason.
Dude, we live in an age where you can instantaneously find any song and play it and curate a list that'll play automatically of shit based off that.
It sucks.
Why are you playing the radio where it's 12 songs over and over? It drives me nuts. And then ads on top of it. Like, that's just the shittiest platform
Long
ever.
ads, too. It's not like it's like read 2 15-second fucking ads and then we're going back in. It's like, no, this is going to be 5 minutes where they're going to be ad after ad. I'm already clocked out at that point. I already turned on a new radio station.
Yeah, dude.
Would they at least listen to good music on the radio?
93X.
93.
It has
That's
to
what it
be,
was,
dude.
yeah.
If you're on a construction crew and they're listening to like Cool 108 or something, find a new crew, dude. Those people are weird as hell.
Yeah. Once in a while, like I'd have to go run back to one of the houses we did if we were doing a development or something. Once in a while, we'd run in, there'd be some subs in there, dude. And they're like, listen to Kid Cudi or something, and it's like, on the job site? Like, what is this? I'm like, I want to hang out with you guys, dude. Like,
yeah. Is that kind of a weird territory? Like, is that frowned upon a little bit? Where it's like putting your own music on, like radio is kind of like that's the base.
There is still a stigma, I'd say, just because it's like it depends on who. It depends on where you're at. If it's in a development where there's a little more professionalism and, new homeowners like coming in and out. But just I'd say the overall stigma is still there, especially with rap. Like very rarely I'd hear rap played, and sometimes like the job suits would tell them to change a station or whatever.
Knock that shit off.
Right, yeah. Yeah. But it really depends. And then sometimes like I work with just stereotypical like fucking blue collar gorillas, dude, just stubborn as shit. Listen to honky, and the only music is honky tonk country. That's the only real music left. And the plumbers would be playing whatever. Oh, your radio's broke. And it's like, so that's like that can be irritating to be with. But yeah, it's just like little details like that. It's really, yeah.
So just to bring us back around, because we never actually got a true answer out
about
of you.
the which trade do the framers hate? No,
for kids that are looking to get into an entry-level framing job, what dollar amount should they be expected to look at? What did you start at when you first started with your company? What would you pay a beginning framer? Like, what wage are we looking at?
So it really depends what size business like you're working with or get a job in. Like I said, I've always worked with like smaller time people, and I've worked for like a handful of crews, and that's something I'd really advocate for too, is working on multiple crews, because that's really valuable because you see how they do it, and everyone has their own set way of doing it, and then usually validation or reasons for doing it. And my dad, I said I was a second generation. My dad's a carpenter too. He's been at it for 30 years, something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been a minute. Wow. And he's like always floated around from crew to crew just by his own free will. Like he'll just jump to whoever's offering a little more. Or if he just like, wants to try something new, go work with this guy. Met him at the bar. He seemed cool. All right.
Yeah. He does a different specialty. Call it a day.
Yeah. And then like just seeing how that affected him with like, oh yeah, do it. Like he has like a laundry list of different ways to do the same thing. And then like learning that it really is it's a good skill, So
will you please just drop a number?
Oh shit. Sorry, dude. Personally, right out of high school, you don't know much, but still given the demand, I don't know, over 15. Start at 15.
If you're getting under 15,
minimum.
Go find a different crew.
Yeah, dude. Because I remember I started under 15, and looking back, I'm like, God damn, why'd I spend the amount of time I spent there?
What's the most? Like, what are the old guys making? What is like the veteran in the game? What are they making?
I've done jobs where I was getting paid $60
Oh, damn. So
an hour.
Stick with the trade. You can find the money. That's for sure. That's a good feeling going from $15 all of a sudden you're getting 50, 60 an hour.
Yeah, it adds up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Adds up really quick.
But the real money is you're running the shit. It all comes down to that. And then especially if you have, more than one crew, that's where the real money's at.
Oh, baby.
You got a lot of responsibility at that point, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then once you get to the point where you're not even on site because you have all those other responsibilities from the office or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. But
are you?
I'm not at that point by any means.
Right. But does that scare you at all? If that business becomes big enough to the point where you have to make that decision, and what would you choose if you had to be put in that position? Okay, we're growing big. Are you just going to hire someone else to run that kind of stuff? Because you seem like you're more of the hands-on guy.
Yeah, I would definitely like to be.
You just enjoy being involved.
Yes, absolutely. And then especially with just I know how I am, I'd like to be there and see how it's done. And then I'll see people will often designate someone they trust to be in that position. But at the end of the day, I'd still like to be climbing up and around that roof until I physically can't anymore. It's just something I enjoy doing.
Right. No, that makes total sense.
Fucking right, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, Bodie, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
It's nice meeting you, man.
Is there anything you want to plug before we head out of here?
I think just bring it back full circle to On Tap, bro.
On Tap. Follow this exact page.
I do, if anyone is, I do have a Facebook page established, but I just haven't posted anything under it yet. But the Renegade Builders.
Get it all out there, man.
Oh,
Shout, where can we
Renegade Builders.
Let the people know.
.com. I got my website. I got 80gritstudios.com. That's another one of my websites. I got Facebook page, 80grit.
Boom.
Renegade Builders, LLC,
Boom.
Facebook page.
So you're saying you need some framing done? You need an addition on your house? You need a new logo? Hit up Bodie.
Dude, absolutely.
Bodie's your man. And if you want some funny content, watch On Tap 69 on TikTok.
Highly recommend.
All right. We'll see you later.